You're watching Fox Sports, home to the World Series, the BCS, the NFC Championship, the Daytona 500, and FoxSports.com. We are Fox Sports!
Fox Sports presents the Camping World Truck Series. Hollywood and San Bernardino providing the perfect backdrop as the trucks will be racing at 170 miles per hour and you have a front row seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and remove your hats as the Centurion Battalion Accession Task Force, California Army National Guard presents our nation's colors. And now will you please welcome Jeff Hamilton with Motor Racing Outreach as he delivers today's invocation.
Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this great day. See, we realize that as much as we're going to enjoy today's events, you find even more pleasure in our lives. So for your love and grace, we are thankful. For your protection and provision, we are thankful. And may the kingdom of your peace be established on the earth and in our lives. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this country music superstar, as we said, has sold over 25 million albums with his new release, Back to Tennessee, out March 31st. Will you please remain standing and welcome Billy Ray Cyrus as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the rampart he washed were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Sprint Cup sensation Kyle Busch in a truck.
You're watching Fox Sports, home to the World Series, the BCS, the NFC Championship, the Daytona 500, and FoxSports.com. We are Fox Sports!
Fox Sports presents the Camping World Truck Series. Hollywood and San Bernardino providing the perfect backdrop as the trucks will be racing at 170 miles per hour and you have a front row seat.
ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and remove your hats as the Centurion Battalion Accession Task Force, California Army National Guard presents our nation's colors. And now will you please welcome Jeff Hamilton with Motor Racing Outreach as he delivers today's invocation.
Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this great day. See, we realize that as much as we're going to enjoy today's events, you find even more pleasure in our lives. So for your love and grace, we are thankful. For your protection and provision, we are thankful. And may the kingdom of your peace be established on the earth and in our lives. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this country music superstar, as we said, has sold over 25 million albums with his new release, Back to Tennessee, out March 31st. Will you please remain standing and welcome Billy Ray Cyrus as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes.
Some of the changes from last year that we have to watch for this year.
You know, I normally don't feel sorry for the crew chiefs, Chris, like I do Jeff, but, you know, I talked to all the crew chiefs in the garage area before the race, and they are really perplexed with the new rules. You cannot take fuel and tires on the same pit stop. What they're really worried about is if we go a long green flag run, putting fuel in these trucks, how much of an ill handling piece they will have without new tires. So that's what they're really worried about and trying to figure out what to do about that.
And the main thing is you cannot wind up finishing or winning a race without fuel. So, I mean, it's going to be a perplexing deal. Tires or fuel? Got to have fuel.
I always like it, Phil, when the crew chief is on the spot, right? He can share
We're always on the spot.
If something goes wrong, we're going to blame Jeff Hammond. So it's a 2-mile track, 100 laps, as Jeff and Phil mentioned, 200 miles zipping around. Let's head down trackside and get that command we like to hear.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Would you please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Chairman, and 4th District Supervisor, Gary Ovitt, to give the command.
Drivers, start your engine!
Great variety in this race. An 18-year-old rookie, James Busher, and 57-year-old Norm Benning. So you get the age range. We also have a driver from Italy, from Canada, African-American driver. We also have a female driver, some past champions, and 13 drivers their first time on this track in a truck. What kind of problems does that present?
A lot, because sometimes the closing rate, we're going to see people get lapped eventually. But we've got 4 former winners in this race with Mike Bliss, Todd Bodine, Kyle Busch, along with Mike Skinner. And I really think that these veterans are going to be stepping up and getting in after it. And we've got Johnny Benson, former champion here, our defending champion as far as the series is concerned, up on the front row. I think the key right now, Phil, is that these guys can't afford to let Kyle Busch get out here and dictate the pace of this race. They got to get after him early.
They really do, and Kyle Busch typically does dictate it. He's been in the top 10 his last 13 starts in the truck series. So obviously, to get to victory lane in this truck series, when Kyle Busch is around, you have to beat that black truck.
There you go.
All right. And Phil, any driver other than Kyle Busch, somebody you want to look for, watch for?
I think Terry Cook is really poised. He jumped in that 59 truck towards the end of the last season, immediately started running well. Coming off a 3rd place finish at Daytona, I think he may be the guy to watch. Maybe my dark horse pick.
It might be a dark horse pick, but I got to go with my boy Johnny Benson right now. They're trying to rebound from what happened to them out last week at Daytona. They got caught up in somebody else's mistake, starting up on the front row right there. It's a good place for him to get after it.
Tomorrow, NASCAR on Fox, 2 o'clock Eastern. The Sprint Cup cars will be rolling. The guys will take you through that as well as today's truck race here on Fox. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip. Guys, how are you?
Great, Chris, and thank you. The truck series, imagine, if you will, a golf foursome with Tiger Woods, Gary Player, and 2 of the latest high school hotshots. That's kind of what the truck series is, a wide range of experience and a wide range of trophies on each of these drivers' shelves, motocross and the like. So it's a varied group that we have here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But Darrell, these trucks must drive so differently than the Sprint Cup or even the Nationwide Series cars.
You know, Mike, I have never met a driver that's driven one of these trucks that didn't enjoy it, didn't think it was fun, me included. It's the perfect balance of aero and of horsepower. And when you put that on a racetrack, it's fun to drive. These trucks are manageable. They're driver friendly. The power band is perfect on the engines. The downforce on the truck is good. The only thing I'm confused about is, Larry, when you want me to pit?
I'll get back to you on that, but I do want to follow up on what Phil Parsons, Jeff Hammond was talking about. This is a fairly short race. It's 100 laps, 200 miles. They have to make at least 2 pit stops for fuel because they can run about 40 to 42 laps on fuel. At Daytona, they really didn't have any long green runs where they had to make green flag pit stops. The formula was simple. You come to pit road to get tires, you come back the next lap under caution, and you get fuel. But here we get those long green runs, and I think where it's going to be a real mind challenge for these crew chiefs, what do we do at the end of the race? Do we just get the fuel in there to get to the end? We know tires are important, so that's what I'm anxious to watch, the last 10 or 12 laps with the pit strategy.
Well, we'll depend on you to keep us up on strategy and all the varied permutations. Let's have a look at the starting lineup. For today's race, the San Bernardino County 200. We'll have Kyle Rowdy Busch and Johnny Benson. On the front row, the defending champ of the series, Benson, Ricky Carmichael, the motocross ace, Well, former series champ Ron Hornaday and on back. Just look at the diversity of driving backgrounds and levels of experience that you see throughout this field. Gabby DiCarlo, the 12th female driver ever to compete in this series. She comes out of the ARCA series from Phoenix. So Darrell, let's get ready to race here.
I can hear you.
DW up in the Fox Sports booth, buddy. Got a copy.
Should be safe. Hey, DW, what's going on, man? I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Sounds like you're in good spirits today. How's the truck? And you got a great view from the front. Can you keep that 51 with you and keep him in sight?
Well, it's probably going to be more of the fact if I can stay with him. But, yeah, I think we got a good Tundra for today, so I'm looking forward to it. Like you see, I got a pretty nice view right now, but we'll see how the start goes and see how the day plays out. But Trip Bruce and the guys here at Red Horse Racing did a tremendous job, so we're excited about it, I can tell you that.
All right, JB, have a great run, buddy. We'll be watching, and you better get up on the wheel to keep up with that old 51. 10-4?
Yeah, 10-4. I know it. But thanks, DW. We'll see you in a little bit.
Let's take a look at it. As I mentioned, 200 miles, 100 laps around this 2-mile racetrack. Pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. The pit window for Sunoco Race Fuel somewhere around 40 to 42 laps. A rule that we deal with in the Camping World Truck Series that we don't deal with in the Sprint Cup Series. These teams only had 4 sets of tires to work with for the weekend. Most of them used one setup in practice, so including the set they're starting to race on, 3 sets of tires for this 100-lap race.
And this rule, like the maximum 5 crew members over the wall or the 12 credentialed crew members allowed at the track each weekend, are all cost containment rules trying to ensure full competitive fields for the races in this series. Let's go down to pit road, beginning with Matt Yoakum.
Mike, last fall, Californian Ron Hornaday Jr. lost an epic championship battle to eventual champ Johnny Benson Jr. by a mere 7 points. He returns in 09 with renewed motivation and enthusiasm going for that record 4th title. His truck, he had mixed reviews in practice. The truck was actually very fast in qualifying, sits on the outside of row 2. But Chris Devoda, what has him jacked up more than anything is his new role of professor to his young but legendary teammate.
And Matt, that teammate, we talk a lot about him. He's not just a Supercross superstar. He is the sport. He is the Dale Earnhardt Jr. of motorcycles. You go to a Supercross or a motocross event, and his autograph line wraps around the entire paddock area. A lot of these folks who are in his pit, they are just hoping to catch a glimpse of their GOAT, greatest of all time. His team members, they caught a little glimpse of that. Ricky Carmichael took some team members out to dinner Wednesday night. Everyone in the restaurant wanted to talk to him. He may be from Tallahassee, Florida, but today he is racing in the motocross Mecca. To Dick Berggren.
Well, the veteran drivers are headed up today by 50-year-old Rick Crawford. He makes his 299th start at the track today. That's more than any other driver. His crew chief, Cowboy Starlin, been around this sport since before this track was built. The truck, number 14, so old they brought a defibrillator to the racetrack in case it didn't start on its own. Crawford, number 14, starts 9th.
leave it to Dick Berggren to know about defibrillators.
That's a great line, Dick.
That is. Now, one thing we do need to mention, the Camping World Truck Series, they have the same engine rules as well, and TJ Bell in the 11 truck qualified 21st. They had to change that engine. They will have to start this race at the rear of the field.
Well, these guys, Mike, they have a reputation. They have a saying that they don't play nice. And again, the trucks are so fun to drive that these guys will take a lot of chances and do things that we may not see Cup drivers do.
Look how tall these trucks are compared to the Sprint Cup cars. Darrell, how aero-dependent are they?
Well, you know what? People say these things must be tail-happy and really loose. They're not. That rear blade on this thing is huge. And that bed on the back with it covered creates a ton, or a half ton in this case, of downforce.
These the stock versions of these are called half-ton pickups.
Half-tons.
And I'm going to tell you what, these trucks are fastest at this 2-mile racetrack, and the draft will play a huge role. When you think about it, Colin Brown sat on the pole at Daytona last week at 177.4 miles per hour. Kyle Busch is on the pole here half-mile less racetrack and a lot less banking at over 174 miles per hour.
Kyle Busch. In the Cup Series, we call him Wild Thing. Here, his self-anointed nickname is Rowdy, after Rowdy Burns in the movie Days of Thunder, and on the roof of his truck it says Rowdy Busch. And he is the man to beat today, as he is most days when he takes to the track. 100 laps, 200 miles, and the San Bernardino County 200 is underway.
I just got to tell you, I'm betting Larry. I said, Larry, that 51 truck will be coming across the start-finish line when the rest of them are coming off turn 4.
And there's a good chance he may be coming on the apron, because he will run on the apron here, no out of bounds like at Daytona last week.
3 wide off turn 2. And no surprise, big wide racetrack.
Yeah, and the reason we say that is because his qualifying speed was a lot faster than anybody else's. We know how he likes to get after it, so he's got it on go, man.
3.5 tenths faster than Johnny Benson, 1.5 miles an hour faster in qualifying.
And to no surprise, Kyle Busch will lead the first lap from Ron Hornaday and Colin Brown.
You know, we talked to Johnny Benson there. The pace lap started on the outside of the front row. He's already fallen back to 6th in just 1 lap.
I may want to call him back up and ask him what the heck.
Matt Crafton, that bright yellow truck with the green hood, side by side with the 20-year-old Colin Brown.
But that's, you know, that's the beautiful thing about this series, Mike. It's a great opportunity for young drivers to come in and be competitive, to be able to race up front. It's also an opportunity for drivers like Ron Hornaday, who's much older, 50 years old, and able to compete in this series as well. So you have the beginning and the ending of careers.
Guys, a truck I'm watching, Mike Bliss in this 40 truck. Now, he won and sat on the pole and won the race here in 1997. He started back in the 14th position. He's already cracked the top 10, and he's doing it on the high side of the racetrack. Look at it. Look how much you can carry the momentum. Remember, these trucks run that tapered spacer that takes about 80 horsepower away, like in the Nationwide Series. You got to keep them wound up, because they actually got a pretty high gear in them, too.
Yeah, and the guy that gets up high like he's doing right now first is going to pass a lot of trucks. That's kind of like no man's land. But if your truck will work up there, you can really get by a lot of people, because everybody fights for the bottom normally.
One truck on pit road, that's West Coast driver Lance Hooper with the hood up. 36 trucks started this race, a smaller field than they use in NASCAR's other 2 national series.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, though, they've got their work cut out for them to catch that 51 truck. Kyle Busch just ran a 41.71. Ron Hornaday in the 33 truck just ran a 42.45, 3/4 of a second slower than the leader of this race.
That's how you make those pit rules work for you. You just get way out there. You come in one time, get tires, come in next time, get fuel, and never lose the lead.
You know, in the pre-race, we just saw Matt Crafton in the 88 truck there. In the pre-race, Phil Parsons felt like that Terry Cook was going to be a truck to watch. I tell you, I like Matt Crafton in that 88 truck, because that's a full-blown Kevin Harvick incorporated car. He had a great run at Daytona. I think he's the guy really fixing to break out in this series.
Well, I agree with you, Larry, but I also believe that Johnny Benson, looks like Johnny Benson had a little problem on the start here, but he'll be a factor for it's over with.
Crafton takes second from Ron Hornaday. The 30 truck is Todd Bodine, the Daytona winner. And Bodine closing in. Look at the back of Hornaday's truck dance around, getting down into the corner.
Boy, and Bodine, he just went around on the outside there. Nice pass. Moves into 3rd place. Todd is, you know, he won Daytona last week, so we know that's a fast truck.
I believe Todd has an awfully good truck, and of course that's our 2007 Truck Series champion. And when you look at the fact of the streak he's been on, including that win in Daytona, he's had top 5 finishes in the last Camping World Truck Series races, going all the way back to the fall of last year.
Such a good little operation there with the Hillmans, senior and junior, and it's a great operation.
Mark Mitchell brings his truck to pit road as Rowdy Busch has opened up a nearly 4-second lead on Todd Bodine and Matt Crafton. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Fox is sponsored by Camping World, the official RV and outdoor retailer of NASCAR. By Quaker State, tough enough for race day, tough enough for every day. By State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates. And by Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
You know, when you look at our top 5, I mean, other than Kyle Busch, who's out there kind of in no man's land by himself, the other guys, Todd Bodine, Skinner, Hornaday, those guys are truck regulars. They're the guys that race these things every week.
And here comes Bliss right into that picture. Now one truck missing from that lead pack, Matt Crafton, who made a pit stop. They added fuel, and it looked like they cleaned the grill for Crafton, and he's back on track, but off the lead group there.
Well, we think that might be strategy, right, Larry?
Yeah. Here's what we've been told. Remember, let's go back and establish the fact that when you come to pit road, you cannot fuel the truck or change tires on the same stop. Now, I think that might have been a little bit early, but I think what they're banking on is being able to go about 44 to 46 laps on fuel based on maybe having some caution. So what that would allow them now, they only have to pit one more time for fuel. But what right now, Matt Crafton is a lap down, but he's, for the time being, he's the first truck a lap down, which would give him the free pass should we get a caution.
Well, we've in 4 out of the last 5 races, they've had a caution around 10 laps. So there may be that trend thing, Larry, where they're looking at the trends.
Still, Matt, though, his lap times are about half a second off of the race leader.
But the good news for the team, though, Mike, is the fact that the plastic bag that was on the grill that rose those water temperatures into the caution zone is off the front of that car. The truck, it was all the way across the grill. They pitted on lap 8, got it off, but the balance now is free, Dick.
Well, just about every crew chief I talked to this morning had the pit strategy of coming in on a yellow flag around lap 9, 10, 11, 12. As Darrell said, we usually have a caution flag right then. The plan was put fuel in the truck, then go to halfway or a little bit more than that, tires and fuel, and go to the end. But we're going green, so everybody's strategy is out the window. It's a whole new race for the crews.
Thanks, Dick. Brandon Knupp takes his truck to the garage, joining Wayne Edwards, J.C. Stout, and Lance Hooper.
As I do, like Larry and I have talked about, and Larry's points to some of the races, is as I studied the trends, that 10 laps is a normal caution. 4 out of the last 5 years we've had a caution at 10 laps. The longest green flag we've run before a caution is 42 laps. So those are things that these teams, I know it, and I'm pretty sure they probably know it too.
And the thing about it, at a 2-mile racetrack that gets these long green flag runs, you almost can never pass up an opportunity to cut, when you get a caution, to put fuel in that truck.
Lead truck in that pack is Mike Bliss, former series champion from Milwaukee, Oregon. Had great success in USAC open wheelers before coming to trucks, the Nationwide Series, and what's now the Sprint Cup Series.
When you look at those 3 trucks right there, Mike Bliss, Mike Skinner, and Ron Hornaday, that's a lot of championships right there. Mike Skinner actually won in the 5 truck the inaugural championship in the Camping World Truck Series back in 1995, driving for Richard Childress.
14 laps in, Toyota top performers in the race so far. Kyle Busch has led every lap. Todd Bodine has worked his way up to 2nd from 7th. And Mike Skinner started 5th, now running 4th. 27 of 36 trucks still running on the lead lap here in Fontana. Welcome back to Southern California, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. There's Billy Ray Cyrus up on one of the pit boxes. He sang the national anthem, decided to stick around and watch Kyle Busch run this race.
He's hanging out with Rowdy.
He knows where to hang out.
You got that right.
You know, we just completed 20 laps. Now we are absolutely in that window. We're about halfway through this fuel run. We're in that window that if you stop now, you absolutely could make it to the end of the race on one stop.
Okay, but now being relative, Larry, would you take a chance and stop under green?
Absolutely not. I think talking to some of the veteran crew chiefs in the Truck Series garage on Friday or Thursday, what they told me probably they're going to do is when they get to the fuel window where they have to have fuel, they're going to come down pit road. If it stays green, and fuel the car or the truck. You have to have fuel. You can't run. Then what they may do is let the green flag stop cycle through where they don't get burnt by a caution, come back to pit road and get their 4 tires, because the give up here is substantial. Kyle Busch's fastest lap was on lap 2 at a 41.65. He's already up in the 43s now.
Ron Hornaday dropped down to the bottom of the racetrack at start-finish, maybe just to break the draft and hop back up in line. Here he goes again, right down against the white line, battling Mike Bliss and Mike Skinner. For more on Bliss, Dick Berggren.
Well, folks who are used to watching the Camping World Truck Series, Mike, are very used to seeing trucks that are handled by Gary Showalter, crew chief today for Mike Bliss. Used to seeing those trucks run up front, and why not? Showalter has perfect attendance in this Truck Series. He has been to every single one of the races since the series started in 1995. He has been a crew chief in every one of those races with but a single exception. He knows his way around these trucks.
I would say he absolutely does. So we're 22 laps into this race, and we've definitely had some comers and goers throughout this race. Of course, Kyle Busch has led every single lap, but the one truck I do want to make a note of, TJ Bell in that 11 truck, remember he had to go to the rear of the field because of an engine change, so realistically he started 35th. He is now running in the 16th position in that 11 truck.
For more, here's Kristen.
Well, the 11 of TJ Bell got some very good news this week. Remember, he's a teammate of Johnny Benson. Johnny Benson, the series champion, racing without sponsorship. TJ Bell has homeffortheholidays.org on the truck this week, but he also has added Vegas.com, which is a wakeboarding supplier. TJ Bell is a big wakeboarder, so fans of the Truck Series, they may start wakeboarding soon.
Mike Skinner, Brian Scott battling. Scott started 13th in that number 16. He's worked his way up to 4th. Cautions out in the Camping World Truck Series race on Fox, sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. Brian Scott has spun to bring out the first caution. Dick Berggren.
And Mike Bliss is going to bring his truck in. This will be tires and adjustments to the chassis only on this stop. They will come around a second time to put fuel in it. Bliss's truck has gotten tight. They're going to adjust it. Matty.
And on the bottom screen, Ron Hornaday Jr., they're going to go with a double pit strategy as well. Tires this time. Hornaday's biggest issue is trying to find grip. The same thing for Bodine in the upper right. Krista?
Kyle Busch wanted to leave these tires on. You know who he asked to make the call? His spotter, Jeff Dickerson. He said, Jeff, what do you think? He said, we got to get 4 tires.
Tell you, that kid relies on that spotter.
He really does it in all 3 series.
Every series.
Let's show you why we're under caution. Brian Scott is battling Mike Skinner in the 5.
Brian Scott had really moved up through the field.
And this is that situation right here where this could definitely have been avoided. A little give right there would have made that not happen.
Especially this early in the race.
Yeah.
First caution of the day in California. Welcome back to Southern California, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Under the first caution of the day, Brian Scott spinning off the front bumper of Mike Skinner. And 2 rookies had an issue on pit road. Watch right in that area as the red truck comes in. Taylor Malsom and Chase Austin collide.
Well, I know we're early into this pitting procedure, but that was one of the concerns I've had all along with this whole thing. In and out, just on pit road a lot.
And you can see on the second stop here on lap 27, where these trucks, they'd already gotten their 4 tires on lap 26 back on the pit road to make sure and pack that thing full of Sunoco race fuel.
Let's get down to the hotel for an AT&T race break.
All right, Mike, with Phil Parsons and Jeff Hammond. And Phil, we were talking about the new pit rules and maybe their effect on what we just saw here.
Well, for one thing, before when we would have the lead lap trucks pit first and then the lap down trucks pit the next lap, we had less trucks on pit road. Now they all get to pit together because they know everyone's probably going to have to come in twice. And also you have a lot of guys coming on pit road, a lot of the young guys that really haven't done that many pit stops. I was talking to Johnny Benson, and Johnny said the problem I have with this rule is we're going to make twice as many pit stops as we did before.
And the crew chief, we opened the broadcast about responsibility. Is this one where crew chief could have helped?
He could have, because for me, watching what happened, Tyler never got cleared. I mean, he should have been told to stop. There was a truck coming in behind him, and that's something the crew chief who's making the call from on top of the box, that's his responsibility. Talk him into the pit box and also clear him out. So, I mean, I think somebody right there dropped the ball on that.
All right, clearly Kyle Busch, the truck to beat. What would have to happen for things to tighten up a little bit? Who has the best chance of making a move on him?
Well, so far we've seen that Todd Bodine has got a pretty fast race truck, and so does Ron Hornaday. So it's going to really, I think, turn out to be, as far as mistakes possibly that Kyle might make and some adjustments as far as how this truck kind of, the race goes on. If everybody stays the same, I mean, he's going to be hard to beat the 51 truck.
He really is, but Todd Bodine historically has been a guy that's been able to make a lot of changes to his truck and better his truck. He's not always that great at the beginning, but he really gets that truck better and better. So that's something we have to watch for as well.
All right, after the Daytona 500, everyone talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr., but Jr. is only talking to one guy, and that's DW. You won't want to miss NASCAR on Fox, our pre-race show, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific tomorrow as Darrell sits down with Dale Earnhardt Jr., who talks about his involvement and how he can turn things around after just one race. Let's head upstairs to Darrell, Mike, and Larry.
Thanks, Chris. Getting ready to restart. Now, Kyle Busch, the first car off pit road on both pit stops, but he is not the leader. Chad McCumbee, driving the 07, made only 1, not 2 pit stops in that GPSstore.com Chevy. He is the race leader.
But that was something that even Kyle Busch had considered when he said, "Do you think we ought to take tires or not?" So we'll see how it works out. Got a set of tires to play with.
Yeah, the only thing I would question, I think they will run over him with basically those tires that has about 26 laps on them, because we saw even on Kyle Busch, who led the first 27 laps, even on his tires there was a 1.5-second give up from fresh to 27 lap tires, and you see right now they're just driving by him. Now, actually, Dennis Setzer got the free pass on that last caution, so Matt Crafton in that 88 truck, remember, he made that pit stop on lap 8. He's trying to get up there and either race his way back to get on the lead lap or be the first truck a lap down.
But I like somebody in the pits, a crew chief that says, okay, let me try this. I'll learn my lesson here, see how it goes. So I think everybody learned a lesson from what he did, but I like a guy that's willing to roll the dice.
Benson and Skinner side by side. You're riding with Johnny Benson, the defending series champ, and the man they're chasing, Ron Hornaday. So what's that, 5, 6 championships between that group? It's a lot. Krista.
We talked about the fact that the defending series champion is still looking for sponsorship, so it makes it a little hard maybe to follow his truck because it's pretty blank. Well, it also makes it hard for Johnny Benson to find pit road when his team forgets to put out the pit sign. When they came back in for fuel on the second round of those stops, Johnny almost missed his pit stall because the team forgot to get the pit board out. Remember, it's a new team. Johnny did bring some of his members over from Bill Davis Racing, but they pretty much put this team together about 2 weeks before the season started. He said, guys, we've got to get that pit board out there on those stops.
And just follow up on McCumbee, his crew chief is Bobby Dotter. Now, Bobby is a former driver, and what do drivers like to do? They like to take chances, gamble a little bit.
They like to take chances when they're not in there driving.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I think that explains a lot of why he did what he did.
Now, Johnny Benson has a teammate. We just saw him on there, TJ Bell, and we want to continue to watch his progress. Remember, started at the rear of the field because of an engine change, started back in 35th position. He is about to crack the top 5. He's up in the 7th spot in that 11 truck.
Battling motocross legend Ricky Carmichael, who's in the number 4.
And the number 4, Carmichael, Kevin Harvick's high on this kid, and everybody that's watched him race. He drove for Kenny Schrader last year in the Camping World East Series. This year, he moved into this truck's great opportunity for him. I think we're going to find out if he's got what it takes or not as he goes forward in the series here.
NASCAR officials looking over Taylor Malsom's truck. He might be dragging something from that pit road collision. Now here is Mike Bliss. They had Dick Berger in a little bit of a sloppy fuel stop. and he's having to work his way back up from the back.
It was more than a little bit of a sloppy stop, Mike. It was about as sloppy as it could be. They didn't quite get the fuel can into the receiver on the truck. Fuel went all over the place, as you can see right here, so they had to go in with it. Look at the fuel come out, and they had to go in with a second can to try and refuel that truck. He went from 5th to 18th. Right up pit road from him, Rick Crawford, on the other hand, the fueler put an empty can into the truck. No fuel in it. And it took them a while to figure out that can was empty. They put a second one in. Crawford does not have enough fuel to get all the way to the end of this race.
Wow.
Well, you know, pit stops. Oh,
Norm
57,
Benning.
Norm Benning.
Off track.
Yeah, he's pulled out. He's pulled off somewhere, I think, over there on the back straightaway.
But behind the wall,
he's out of harm's way.
He thinks he's out of fuel.
Yeah, he shouldn't be.
No, he even if you didn't stop for fuel at 35 laps, if you started the race full, you shouldn't be out.
Maybe he had Rick Crawford's gas can.
Might have.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where Rick Crawford's gas went.
I don't know.
Or didn't go.
Now, you'd think this is a battle for position. Maybe, maybe not. Ron Hornaday, past series champion in the 33. Ricky Carmichael, the greatest motocross racer of all time, are teammates. Looks like Ricky is going to school on Ron Hornaday. Krista?
Well, Ricky Carmichael said he has a lot to learn. He's coming into this series with his eyes and ears wide open. He really has a strategy for this race. He's kind of broken it down into 2 races. He said he needs to make it to halfway and then find out where he's at and then go for the best finish. He just wants to survive and finish the entire race. So the halfway point is a big point for him.
I asked his owner, Kevin Harvick, if the adjustment from winning everything every week was going to be hard for Carmichael. And Harvick said no, he's very grounded. He's got a very great approach to racing in this series. He knows he has a lot to learn, and he's willing to be patient. Camping World Truck Series racing on Fox is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Get the inside track from Penske Racing, race analysis from their drivers, plus highlights and more on VCast. 40 of 100 laps complete. Kyle Busch has led most of them except for the exchange on pit stops. Todd Bodine, Mike Skinner, Ron Hornaday, and Ricky Carmichael, the top 5.
You know, I believe at this little group right here, the 30 and the 5, and maybe even the 88, there's a little draft here. You can do a little draft in here. I believe these 3 guys got hooked up. They've closed the gap a little bit on Rowdy. They've been nipping away at his lead ever so slightly.
Smoke from Terry Cook's truck. He has slipped to 11th spot. NASCAR has black flagged him to the pits for consultation.
They're going to black flag us here to come in and check us, see if we can get a caution here some.
And the 48 of Dennis Setzer also on pit road.
Yeah, he's going to hood up on the 48 truck too.
You know, when I watch Mike Skinner in that 5 truck who just drove by Todd Bodine in the 30 for 2nd place, remember this is a team that's owned by Dennis Dollar and wide receiver for the New England Patriots, Randy Moss. This team really had David Dollar, they had a lot to do in a short time to do it. It was about 2.5 to 3 weeks when this was put together with Mike Skinner, and they may have had to make the swap from Chevrolets to Toyotas, so they did a lot of work in a short time getting ready for Daytona.
But again, Larry, just like in the Cup Series, when Bill Davis shut down his operation, that left a lot of equipment, a lot of Toyota trucks, a lot of Toyota engines that were available to some of these other teams. So they were able to spread it around a little bit.
Now here's Taylor Malson, who was involved in the pit road collision earlier under caution, and that bar comes around to, well, let's see what they're doing, trying to create a little fender clearance there on the tire.
He's made some contact, obviously, and that's my favorite tool right there, Larry.
The big sledgehammer?
You got that right. If it ain't big enough, get a bigger one.
Now, Taylor Malmson, that's actually Mike Skinner's teammate. That's a team that's owned by Randy Moss Motorsports as well. But I got to agree with Jeff Hammond as we see Terry Cook still smoking. You can see him give the hand signal like I think he's about to come to pit road. But I agree totally with Jeff Hammond. What happened to Taylor Malmson on pit road a while ago, that's not his fault. We do have caution on the speedway. It might be something that Terry Cook dropped on the racetrack from that 25 truck.
Yeah, it was getting, the smoke was beginning, it was a little bit at first, but now you can see it's pretty heavy, so it's got to be fluid.
Hey, come on right here. Come right here.
So Cook comes to his pit. The 48 of Dennis Setzer pushed to the garage area. And the free pass truck will be the number 88 of Matt Crafton, who had to make an early pit stop under green to remove a plastic bag from the grill.
Raise the hood up.
Yeah, you got to oil leak. Look at that right front tire. It's got a lot of oil on the tire itself, so they got an oil leak on there somewhere.
Now here's what's interesting about this caution. We've only had 14 laps since that restart back on lap 30. We know for the most part that a lot of teams, other than Chad McCumbee, they only really have one good set of tires left. So this is where we may really start to see some different strategy. I don't think you can pass an opportunity to put fuel in your truck. Never pass that opportunity, but we may not see a lot of tire changing on this particular caution. But this is where Chad McCumbee, Bobby Dotter, it may have worked in their favor because they have that extra set of tires.
That's what I'm thinking. And he fell back to 20th, but he stayed on the lead lap. But he now has an ace in the hole. 4 of them, as a matter of fact.
How about a little Aflac trivia?
Where's the duck? There he is.
Who is the youngest Truck Series winner here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California?
I don't know on that one.
I don't know, but if Ted Musgrave was here, he'd probably be the oldest.
Well, yeah, but that's not the question.
Well, that's the other end of the spectrum. It was a clue for another question.
The driver on screen is a hint.
No
it is not the answer,
no
but
kidding.
it is a hint. See if pit road's open this time. It is. Let's see who will take advantage of this caution.
Oh, I think
if
you've got a fast truck like these guys, some of these guys up front do, you just do the routine. You come in, you get fuel, you come back in, you get tires, and take off again.
Bergie, looks like everybody's coming.
Yeah, and Mike Bliss is just going to come in and put fuel in the truck, or the crew's going to do it. He can't do it. He's driving the thing, but they're going to put fuel in it, no tires. He'll go right back out again, Mike.
And see, by fueling here, this puts you where you still are maybe about 8 to 10, maybe 12 laps short on making it to the end. Matt.
The call for 3-time champ Ron Hornaday Jr. Fuel only, a chassis adjustment as well. Hornaday still can't find that feel. To Krista.
And fuel only and a tear off for the race leader Kyle Busch. They've got to save their tires.
Now David Starr got tires on this pit stop. And there are several others that elected to take tires. Brett Thompson, one of those. Well, Matt Crafton will be back on the lead lap when we go back to green. Welcome back to Southern California. 47 laps complete as the duck marches across to tell us who the youngest winner in the trucks at Auto Club Speedway was. Kurt Busch, 22 years, 2 months, and 24 days in 2000.
And that clue, that hint with it on Kyle, that was the hint.
That was the hint. His younger brother.
Ah.
It's all making sense now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now Ricky Carmichael stopped twice, once for tires and once for fuel and adjustments. So he'll be tail end Charlie on this restart. Green flag with 22 lead lap trucks. 2 laps to halfway.
It's amazing how quickly that 51 can get away.
That's one of 2 Billy Ballou trucks in the field. Yeah, that's the 51. His teammate, the 15, Shane Sieg, in 13th position. How about we make a little noise?
Just reach over there, grab those surround sound knobs, and just bottom them out and crank it up.
race sign. Second place battle resumed. Mike Skinner and Todd Bodine. You saw the black flag from the stand. That is for Gabriel DiCarlo passing to the left on the restart. You're not allowed till you get to the start finish line to pass on the left. All passing must be to the right. However, the driver has the opportunity to give back any positions gained and avoid serving out the penalty. It's kind of like accelerated rehabilitation, and she did just that. So she will not have to go to pit road.
Tell you what, we got quite a battle here between Ron Hornaday and the 33, TJ Bell, and that 11, Mike Bliss, and the 40. They've been going at it ever since the restart. Taylor Mounson, remember, in that 81 truck had the problem on pit road. He's actually 2 laps down right now, back in 24th.
With these short distance races, that's one of the great things about the Truck Series. Nobody rides.
Yeah, and then
everybody wants it all every lap.
A great thing about this racetrack too, as you can see, the Busch truck up front is right on the bottom of the racetrack. But you look right behind him and look where they are. They're everywhere. This big wide racetrack, you get your truck working somewhere, and then you got room to make it happen.
They even run different grooves on the straightaway.
Yeah, well, you kind of drop down here in the D on the front to make it the shortest distance, and you can pick up a little time. Let's see if the 5 may get up in the loose stuff here.
Ooh. He actually scraped that wall a little bit. Mike Skinner in the 5 right now running in second, but this battle will not go away. Mike Skinner in the 5's been running the high groove. Todd Bodine, the winner from Daytona in the 30's, been running right around the bottom, as you see right now.
And of course, if you're that little spot, sit way up at the top of the screen, you're loving this. Y'all get back here and play with it. I'm going to check out.
Nice, smooth and smart here.
Now, how about our outside pole sitter, Johnny Benson, has slid from second back to 9th position, Krista?
And Mike, there is definitely a reason for that. He said right now it almost feels like he has a tire going down. He came on the radio and told his team his truck feels twice as tight and twice as loose.
Boy, that's hard to do right there.
You just look at Kyle Busch in that truck right now. I mean, he's just like he's in there for a Sunday stroll.
Here's David Starr was moving up on Johnny Benson. That'll be a change of 12th.
Look at his hands on the steering wheel. I mean, he's not fighting with that truck. That truck's just working to perfection. When it's like that, you can just stay in the throttle so much. And these trucks like momentum. They like for you to stay in the gas. They got a little bit of restrictor plate on them, and that really helps this thing get around the track when you can keep that throttle down.
We mentioned on the last caution, Ricky Carmichael came in for tires and then came in for fuel, so he restarted at the back of the pack, Krista, and now Carmichael is up to 14th.
Yeah, Mike, and remember where we talked about his strategy is really to just survive and be in this thing at the end. Well, they're playing it a little conservatively. Ricky Carmichael thought he had a right front going soft, so they came in for those tires. They weren't really planning on doing that. They do have a set left, but they have about 15 laps on them. So a set of 15-lap scuffs, if they need them, are up against the wall.
Hey, Chris, you do a lot with the Truck Series. Now, obviously, he is a rookie. There's something on practice day about they get an extra set of tires. Has that played into this strategy here?
Well, a little bit, Larry, but they actually, the team says that they gave that set back, that they had an extra set for the practice sessions. Remember, they had 2 practice sessions on Thursday. So the set that they have does have some laps on them, and that was probably from that practice session. So they do have a set, but they are not fresh sticker tires.
But that still played into their favor because it sounds like they put more laps on that set of tires. They got extra fill, which let them only put a few laps on that set of 15-lap tires they have.
You're exactly right, Larry. They're able to use that one set of tires for both practice sessions. They have to give them back to NASCAR after those 2 sessions. But as you mentioned, they're liable to only just put a handful of laps, maybe even do just a mock qualifying run on another set. So essentially, they have 4 sets to start this race, where most of the other teams, especially the non-rookies, only have 3.
Yeah, they had 4 spare tires. You got room in the back for them, so
one
no
for
problem.
each corner.
Yeah.
Rowdy Busch, 2.6 seconds ahead of the Mike Skinner-Todd Bodine battle. The Camping World Truck Series on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward. Kyle Busch well out in front of this one, 2.7 seconds up on Todd Bodine and Mike Skinner, now second and third single file. T.J. Bell, the former road racer, having a great outing here in fourth, and Ron Hornaday in fifth. The series opened last week in Daytona under the lights, a hard crash by number 10, James Buescher, and the number 4, Ricky Carmichael, two rookies getting involved in this one. Safety always a primary concern of NASCAR. Jeff Hammond files this week's State Farm Safety Report.
Well, Mike, when it comes to NASCAR racing, we all know that a head and neck restraint is required in all three series. But the other thing about these trucks, as well as the cars, there's a lot of similarities. The intrusion plate that's put on this side to protect the driver. You see the seat, much like what you would see inside of a truck or a Sprint Cup car, the same. The cockpit, very, very safe. You look across, you see the fire bottles. That fire suppression system, the same in both series. And also, when you think about the height of the greenhouse, to keep the roll bars a little bit higher as far as the drivers are concerned, again, to give them a little bit more headroom. These trucks and cars are very similar. If you're able to peel the bodies away, you'll find out that the safety innovations in both series are very, very compatible. Mike?
Thank you, Jeff.
And Mike, you want to know why the 51 Busch is so fast? Look at him, how his truck is handling. It's not all him. He has a big part in it, but the people that set this truck up and make it handle the way it does, that's why he's so fast. He's not putting a bunch of wheel in it, slowing it down. The truck is just nice and free through the turn, and he's able to get around this racetrack better than anybody.
Kyle Busch is the only driver who is racing in all three of NASCAR's Premier Series this weekend, and nobody is saying he can't run the table and win them all.
I don't think there's any question. Now, I want to continue to follow Chad McCumbee and Bobby Dotter, his crew chiefs, what they've done here. Remember back on lap 26, that first caution, they did fuel only. They were leading the race at the restart. They fell way back because of the older tires. But on this last caution at lap 44, they, along with Ricky Carmichael, they came on the pit road and got their next set of tires. So now they're even with everybody as far as tires left. But the one thing, they're almost in a league of their own with the exception of Kyle Busch as he continues to march toward the top 5. In fact, he just went by Mike Bliss in the 40 truck for 6. So that strategy worked out perfect.
It did. Good call. Another former driver, as I talked about, Kyle Busch, is Doug George is his crew chief. He's a former West Coast driver. He's from out here. Richie Waters been the crew chief on that 51 truck up until this year. They swapped. I think Waters is on the. He's on the 15 truck now.
Right, the team truck driven by Shane Sieg. I think Doug George, former champion of what was the Winston West Series.
Right.
The last couple laps, Ben. You're 80 to his 78.
And that's 43.80 that Kyle Busch just ran that Doug George told him. Todd Bodine, actually by our score monitor, just ran a 43.78. A lot of the other trucks, with the exception of Chad McCumbee, is already in the 44-second bracket with this many laps on their tires.
And that's the strategy for the 51. He's so fast on the start of a run that seems to balance out right at the end of the run, though. But it's too late, too little, too late.
How has Ricky Carmichael done after that double pit stop coming up from the back? We'll tell you in a moment.
And there goes Kyle Busch.
The kid is exciting to watch.
Kyle Busch is checking out.
He's got the lucky charm, baby.
A dominant performance today by Kyle Busch, winning the San Bernardino County 200.
Kyle Busch 4 seconds in front of Mike Skinner. This race has 30 laps left to go. And Ricky Carmichael's fought his way back up to 13th after restarting back about 21st.
You know, Mike, NASCAR actually has a rule today that to race in one of the top 3 series, the Camping World Truck Series, the Nationwide Series, or the Sprint Cup Series, you have to be 18 years old. Now, that's a rule that was made about 2 or 3 years ago. In 2001, Kyle was driving for Jack Roush at age 16, and he was set to make his very first NASCAR Camping World Truck Series start here at Auto Club Speedway. But because of a cigarette sponsorship of the open wheel race that weekend, officials pulled him out of the truck and said, you can't race. That right there is what led them to make that rule. You have to be 18 years old to race in this series or any of the other top 2 series.
I tell you, these two guys right here, they're going to wreck each other playing around. Todd Bodine and Mike Skinner. One will get in front, and the other will draft back up to him, and they'll bump draft a while, and then the other will get in front. They are having a race within a race.
They're about 4.5 seconds behind the leader, both past champions of this series and running very different lines on the racetrack. Chad McCumbee, the driver with that contrary strategy, now in 4th place.
Now, I think we need to set the stage here. We have about 28 laps to go. All of these trucks were on pit road last roughly about lap 46. We feel like that they can go somewhere between lap 85 and 88, which is going to be somewhere around 12 to 15 laps to go. I'd like to get Phil and Jeff involved on this. Guys, with about 12 laps to go, we know that everyone has one set of tires, but I've got to believe with that few laps to go, we will see a lot of just gas and go, enough fuel to get you to the end.
Yeah, Larry, either that or maybe right side tires and 1 can of fuel, just to make sure. Obviously, you got to remember, in the event of a green-white checkered, you have to have a little bit extra. So I think as important as tires are here, I think the drivers are going to be hollering for tires, and they're going to want at least right size. Jeff, what do you think?
And I agree with you, Phil. I think the other part of that equation, if you elect not to take on tires, you've got to be extra careful coming down on this pit road. It'd be real easy to lock up the right front, flat spot it, and then you'd have to change tires. So much is going to be said about these guys making a green flag stop. Have they really practiced it? And again, will you get caught speeding in or speeding out? So a lot of factors are going to come into play here, and that's the one thing that Kyle Busch does not need to do is beat himself.
But guys, just remember, if you want 2 right side tires and you're going to have to put fuel in, that's 2 green flag stops. Should we stay green?
Yeah, can't do it, Larry.
And I just don't think you would want to do that.
No, you're going to have to do fuel only. You're exactly right.
And see, that's part of that deal right there. We've still not got accustomed to the rules that are supposed to be run here.
So, I forgot it already.
I mean, and you're supposed to know better, driver.
Looking back at race history, the average green flag run to the checker here is just 13 laps. And we have 26 to go. The Camping World Truck Series on Fox is sponsored by Camping World, the official RV and outdoor retailer of NASCAR. By Subway, the big event is back. Any regular footlong for just $5. Subway, eat fresh. By Sprint. Get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint only on the Now Network. And by Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's. Let's build something together. 21 laps to go. Kyle Busch out in front of Todd Bodine by 5 seconds. Mike Skinner half a second back. Chad McCumbee with that contrary strategy still 4th. And T.J. Bell has been having a great battle with Ron Hornaday for 5th. Right now, Bell has the spot in that number 11. And a few years ago, he's racing Toyota Formula Atlantics, sports cars, open-wheeled cars. And I'll bet if you'd told him he'd be making his living racing pickup trucks a few years later, he might have just laughed, but he's given this truck a great ride.
And I don't think we can state enough what a great truck he has, because he had to start this race. We talked at the top of the show, a short race. He had to start at the rear of the field because of an engine change. But Chad McCumbee, he is the only truck in the top 5 that's not a Toyota. Mike, you talked about this yesterday. We always talk about going to Michigan, where the big 3's at, and they always smile when their make runs well there. Well, this is home for Toyota, and they have 4 trucks in the top 5.
Yeah, Toyota's they pretty well own this series for the last 2 or 3 years. You just got the great package, handling and engine.
And here's Chad McCumbee. The Petties were high on him. Petty Enterprises gave him a bunch of opportunities in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And he lost that ride when Petty Enterprises merged with Gillette Evernham at the end of last season. But Chad McCumbee, Matt, having a fine 4th place run here.
And very quiet on the radio, Mike, but the only conversations really talk about just how comfortable he is with this truck and going the rest of the way on tires if they have to. The 2 trucks in front of him, the 5 of Skinner and the 30 of Bodine, both within 3 laps of each other, came out and said, I have worn out my right front. Both are pushing.
And here's where we're really setting the stage for this strategy. With 19 laps to go, I'm going to say within the next 5 to 6 to 8 laps, these trucks will have to come to pit road. And what will they do? We know they have to have fuel. I don't think, like Phil and Jeff and I were talking, you can come back a second time for tires if we stay green.
Darrell, Todd Bodine and Mike Skinner wore out their right fronts. All they've done is race each other side by side. Chad McCumbee has really conserved what he has under him.
Yeah, I think that's this new pit strategy. The driver has to think a little bit differently. He's got to think about what ifs. What if I can't change tires and only get fuel? So, but here's the other thing. If you believe in history, with about 15 laps to go, there could be a caution.
When everybody kind of gets up on that wheel a little bit and they're really sliding around on old tires.
And that's the dilemma down there for a crew chief. That's right when he needs to be pitting. So do I wait? Do I stay out? That kind of data really confuses you sometimes.
Well, now you saw Todd Bodine dip behind a lap truck trying to get a little bit of a draft. They're in fuel conservation mode with 18 laps to go. When will they pit? Stick around. Welcome back to Fontana. The 3rd, 4th, and 7th place trucks hit pit road. Matt.
And Skinner slid to a stop. They're going to go right side tires only. For the 5 of Skinner, he's away. Still debating on fuel or tires on the 30 of Bodine.
Chad McCumbee and Matt Crafton also made pit stops fuel only.
But we know that Mike Skinner, as the leader goes by Kyle Busch here, with about 13 laps to go, we're getting a report that Mike Bliss in the 40 is actually out of fuel. But we know that Mike Skinner in the 5 truck, regardless of how those tires felt, he's got to come back to pit road to get fuel. He can't make it to the end. You see Mike Bliss already out.
Yeah, this is just the dilemma that you end up in. You need tires or you're going to have a flat. You need gas or you're going to be stalled on the racetrack. So got to go with what you need to worse, I think.
Johnny Sauter comes in. And Mike Bliss coasts in and makes it to pit road along with Rick Crawford and James Busher. Dick?
Well, the 40, Mike Bliss had really wanted to put tires on his truck, Mike. He had been dropping back because of an understeer, a bush in the truck, but this is almost certainly going to be fuel only because we are on green. And they cannot add tires and fuel on green, just as is the case under caution.
J.R. Fitzpatrick penalized, too fast exiting. He's coming back in to serve his penalty and take tires at the same time. Ricky Carmichael's on pit road, and we expect the leader in 2 laps.
Well, the thing you don't want to do, especially with as good a truck as Kyle Busch and that 51 that they have, you don't want to run out of fuel. Krista.
This is exactly the strategy Ricky Carmichael wanted, to be here at the end and to be able to just start picking off trucks. Billy Wilburn has told him, get 1 truck at a time. You see the 4 on pit road for fuel only. That's Ricky Carmichael, the Supercross superstar, trying to complete this race in California.
Johnny Sauter left his pit with the catch can still attached. There you see the Sunoco fuel cans, and away Sauter goes. And there is the catch can.
So he'll have to come back in, and that's a shame because Johnny Sauter in that 13 truck, he had made his way up into the top 15. There you see Ron Hornaday in the 33 truck. He's on pit road, Matt.
The issue for Hornaday, he has to gingerly bring his truck to a stop in his box, not to slide the tires. Great job there. He also had to go around the 32. 1 can of fuel for Hornaday. A close call with Peters in the 32 on exit.
I'm going to tell you what, though, when you look at the 51 truck of Kyle Busch, you know, they're somewhat walking a tightrope here because the last thing they want to do is pit too soon and get burnt by caution by someone that stays out there. So that's what's on the shoulders of Doug George, the crew chief, right now. But as I mentioned, you don't want to run out of fuel either. There's Doug George right there on top of the pit box.
Man, they are doing some calculating, aren't they? Sitting there saying, I think we can go 2 or 3 more laps. You want to wait till the very last lap that you possibly can run to come.
They're looking for him now with 9 laps to go, and here comes Rowdy. There is Johnny Benson, who has cycled up to 8th place, also on pit road.
Here comes the 30 back there too. He's coming.
Todd Bodine in. Going to be a quick gas and go, it looks like, Krista.
Absolutely. I don't even know if they need the co in Sunoco. Just a splash and go for Kyle Busch. Doug George, the crew chief, said nice and easy. Kyle, don't slide the tires. And then he stopped. He said, what am I talking about? You know exactly what to do. Kyle Busch, the leader in this race, coming in, and he hits his pit stall for a splash and go. Just a little bit of fuel for the 51.
And the way his truck's handling Mike, Larry, it doesn't surprise me that he can make it on tires because he has not been abusing his truck.
How about Todd Bodine, Matt?
Mike, the driver wanted tires. The crew chief wanted fuel. They went fuel on the 30.
So that'll move Colin Brown up to the lead in that Conway Freight Ford, leading for the first time today.
Now, we talked about Mike Skinner got those right side tires, Matt. Here he's back on pit road because he has to put the fuel in here with 8 laps to go.
Remember back on lap 78, Skinner came on the radio, told his team he felt like that he had completely worn out that right front tire. Hence the tires, and now coming in for the fuel. Skinner's away.
Colin Brown is this race's 3rd different leader. He's only the 2nd driver to lead under green. Otherwise, it's been a Kyle Busch day.
Now, where he's going to be in trouble is when he makes his green flag stop. We got a report that he's completely lost 3rd gear, and that transmission is in big trouble. So that's where he has to really careful.
Well, where he's in really big trouble is Kyle Busch is right behind him. So even no matter what, Kyle's going to chase him down and get the lead back here pretty quickly.
8 laps to go. There is Busch now in 2nd place. Todd Bodine, Shane Sieg up to 4th. Sieg is Busch's teammate and has not yet made his pit stop.
Right now, if you did, you're just sitting there saying, please have enough rubber left on that right front tire. That's what you're praying for.
Stacy Compton's made his final stop. And we're down to 7 to go.
Now you see Mike Skinner in the 5 truck. Right now he is 1 lap down because of being on pit road twice. Now that was a pass for the lead Kyle Busch just made on Colin Brown. That's the difference in those trucks right there. But what Mike Skinner wants more than anything.
We can let the 5 go if we don't.
Well, it won't even help Mike Skinner now because we're less than 10 laps to go and there's no free pass available.
So if I was Rowdy, I'd say you just go right ahead there, Mr. 5-car truck.
Shane Sieg comes in, surrenders 4th position to do so. Dick Berggren.
Hey, Mike, a round of applause for David Starr and his crew. Starr right now in the 24 truck is running in the 7th position as the result of an absolutely brilliant pit stop. The crew told him don't slide the tires. He didn't want to flat spot him. He stopped perfectly. They did a fuel only stop, just exactly the right amount of fuel. It's as good a stop as I've seen all day for that 24. Guys, they really got him done.
And you just saw the 51 truck of Busch pull down and let Mike Skinner in a 5 go by. So that was a good smart move on his part.
Absolutely, with 6 laps to go.
Battle for 6th place. There is David Starr, the Texan, picking up the spot.
Showing on your right rear. Just breathe. Take it easy. Jeff, help him out here.
I think that's David Starr's crew. They're pretty happy about that pass that he made on Ron Hornaday. 5 laps to go.
I tell you right now, normally you're sitting here holding your breath on fuel. I'm holding my breath on tires because they got to be right to the limit on tire wear.
Well, remember, a lot of these guys, they have not changed tires since back on about lap 26, 27. So, yeah, it's going to be close to 75 laps on these tires.
That's Rick Crawford going a lap down to Kyle Busch. Crawford will start.
Nice and easy, dude. Nice and easy. Up off.
Will start his 300th race in this series at Atlanta in a couple of weeks. The good thing about Kyle Busch and tire wear is who has he had to race today? Who's he had to battle side by side with? Nobody.
Nobody, and as we've had the in-car shots of him, he's not jacking around on the wheel wearing the tires out. So if anybody can make it on tires, he should be the one that can do it.
He's led 91 of our 96 laps as we now have 4 laps to go.
Trouble for Taylor Malsom down on the
slow on the
apron.
back there, coming down the back straightaway. Looks like he's got enough speed though to get back around.
He may be out of fuel possibly with that 81 truck.
Hey, looks like
we're going to make it.
Rookie had a top 10 at Daytona.
Now he was going, it might be, I guess it is out of fuel because he accelerated a little bit and then all of a sudden it stopped.
Kyle Busch, 3 to go.
And he has a 5-second lead over Colin Brown. Colin Brown, the 6 truck, out of fuel here with 3 laps to go. And he did make it to pit road.
Yeah, and 81, I'm pretty sure, is going to be able to coast all the way here. He comes onto the apron down here to the entrance of pit road, so I think we're going to be okay there.
He's going to make it.
So that will move Todd Bodine into the 2nd spot. And how about it, Chad McCumbee in that 07 truck up to 3rd as we're coming to 2 laps to go.
And TJ Bell to 4th. And David Starr, thanks in part to that great pit stop Dick Berggren talked about. Starr will move up into the top 5.
All we got to do is finish.
He has a 10-second lead over Todd Bodine right now, talking about Kyle Busch as we've got 2 to go.
2 to go, and he could almost coast those. He's so far ahead he could almost coast 2 laps.
Well, we gave the analogy at the top of the show about a golf foursome. Tiger Woods, Gary Player, and a couple of young high school hotshots. I would say Kyle Busch is about to win this tournament by a dozen strokes or so. He's put a whipping on him today.
Well, and I think this is so good for Kyle Busch, because think about it. He finished second last week at Daytona in the Camping World Truck Series race. He had the car to beat in the Nationwide Series race and didn't win it. And we know, I don't think anyone was going to beat him in the Daytona 500, but he got caught up in that wreck. So this has to make him feel so good. Mike, you're right. I think he could sweep the weekend here in all three series.
White flag for Rowdy Busch. 56th start in the Camping World Truck Series, seeking to win California for the second year in a row.
A lot of guys are going to want to see those right side tires, I can tell you that.
And I'd say a lot of guys from the other series, because it's the same tire. But
exactly.
Just think about it, Mike. 9 years ago, they told him, you can't race, you're not old enough, right here at Auto Club Speedway.
Driving for Billy Ballou.
And that's a real special relationship, too.
Yep.
Good job, Doug.
Doug George, the crew chief, Billy Ballou, the owner, and Rowdy. Kyle Busch wins the San Bernardino County 200, his 10th career victory in the Camping World Truck Series. There's second, and Todd Bodine, Chad McCumbee for third. TJ Bell.
Actually, David Starr
to the line.
David Starr got by him on the last lap.
10 wins for Kyle Busch, tying him with Bobby Hamilton for 11 on the series all-time win list.
A couple of notables. Ricky Carmichael did get a top 10 finish, finished in 8th. Tim Peters 9th, and Max Pappas finishes 10th.
Yeah, another great road racer. Pappas adapting to the trucks in 10th spot. Kyle Busch dominates in Southern California. Kyle Busch led 3 times for 95 laps, including the final 7. He led all but 2 of the green flag laps today. Rowdy.
Take a bow, young man. Take a bow.
He's now moved on to victory lane. Chris Devota's there.
Well, Rowdy Busch has been in 2 truck races at the Auto Club Speedway, and he's been to victory lane both times. Perfect is not a word we use often, but he's been perfect at this track, in this truck, and he was nearly perfect today. Congratulatory hug from crew chief Doug George, owner Billy Ballou. Kyle, you're doing triple duty. You almost had to pull up the reins on your horse today out there. It was that good.
It was. I mean, this thing was just flawless. First, I guess I'll get it all over with. I got to thank the fans, and I want to thank Camping World for stepping up to this series and NASCAR, all the officials, everybody. But yeah, this is extra special. This one's for Doug back here. This is Doug George's first win as a crew chief. So they worked awfully hard all winter on this thing. This is truck number 11. This is all reliable, and guys just did flawless. You know, they worked so well and made this truck drive so good. So it's a lot of these guys' first win, as a matter of fact, too. So extra special to have everybody here today.
Yeah, you've done this a lot, but it does seem like there's a lot of extra emotion down here. And you talked about this truck. You called it your baby. You've been dominant in just about everything here all series this weekend. Are you going to put on the California sweep?
I don't know. I think Johnson's going to be pretty tough. Carl's going to be tough come Sunday. But we've got another fast hot rod for tonight. So this Mikasuki NOS Energy drink, Red Top Auto Auction Toyota Tundra was just great today. And you know, again, thank to all these guys. Thanks for Billy for keep going with us, and thank the Mikasuki boys from the Nationwide Series to come over here and pit this thing. And so really means a lot. James Finch is in a big part of this deal. So, you know, it's really a lot of fun to come out here and win 2 years in a row, and hopefully we can do some more.
All right, he had to pull up his horse today, but he'll be storming out of the gate for the Nationwide race and on Sunday. Dick?
Well, Todd Bodine with his 8th consecutive top 5 finish. His last 3 races, first, and second. You got out of the truck and you looked unhappy finishing second.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing to have a Tundra that's that good and finish second. That tells you how good Kyle was. Once the tires got heated up, got a little slick, we were just a little tight through the center of the corner. I couldn't quite hold it wide open, and Kyle started getting ahead. And then we were probably tit for tat there and run the same times, but we started getting a vibration. You know, going that long on tires is scary, and I backed off and tried to save him, and he pulled way ahead on us. And after looking at the tire, I could have kept on digging. It was good, but it was a great day for this Germain Toyota. Still looking for a sponsor. I think we'll probably go to Atlanta. We'll have to see.
We wish you well with that. Let's go to Matt.
Dick, Ricky Carmichael's goal today, just finish. And not only that, he scored a top 10 finish. For you, the biggest positive that you're taking out of this run today?
That I finished the race, no doubt. I've raced for Kevin 3 times before this and never finished a race. So just happy. Didn't want to tell anyone what our goal was, but he just said, man, if you get top 15, that would be good. So I bettered his goal, and I just can't say enough for Monster Energy Chevrolet. Man, that was awesome, and I learned so much, kept my nose clean, and I messed up in a pit stop, and we lost some position. I thought I had a right front go down, but just awesome to finish. Can't thank the team enough, and the fans also.
Going on to Atlanta next, another intermediate high-speed racetrack. The biggest lesson learned today that you can carry over to there?
Well, I think my next race is Kansas City, but just to finish and you know, give and take, and I learned so much. If we could race again, there's plenty of things I would have changed.
All right, thanks, Ricky.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Other runs that were impressive. TJ Bell's best career finish. Road racer Max Pappas in the top 10. Gabby DeCarlo's Truck Series debut, top 20 finish. Larry, whose strategy impressed you today?
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show, and I don't envy the calls that these crew chiefs have to make. Certainly we want to congratulate Doug George as Kyle Busch's crew chief getting his first win, but I guess the call that Bobby Dotter for Chad McCumbee, as well as Bill Wilburn for Ricky Carmichael, the call they made on lap 46, they put their trucks in the back of the field to get those 4 fresh tires, and we pretty much went green the rest of the way. Those calls paid off for a 3rd and an 8th place finish for those 2 trucks.
Darrell, Kyle put a whipping on him, but there was great racing all through the pack today.
There really was, but when you're Kyle Busch, you know, it looks like a cakewalk. You're out there riding around in a truck that's better than everybody else's, but deep down inside you keep sitting there every lap saying, I know something's going to happen. I know something's going to happen to the motor. I know something's going to happen to the tire.
And Doug George was thinking the same thing.
And you have a huge sigh of relief when you cross that checkered flag, get the checkered flag knowing that you kept it all together and nothing happened.
All right, let's check with Dick Berggren.
With 24-year-old Chad McCumbee, who has come in 3rd place. So much conversation about the pit strategy today. How much pressure did that put on you to hold up your end of the bargain?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was tough there for a while. You know, I mean, you obviously can't. I tried to run wide open the first corner, and that didn't work out for me. So it was, you know, Bobby Dotter's man on top of this pit box, and he really made it happen for us today. We made the truck a lot better, and we were really very, very good at the end. I mean, even though we had a few laps of fresher tires, and it's just an awesome effort for these guys. You know, SS Greenlight Racing, these guys worked really, really hard over the offseason to get to this point. And, you know, we weren't even planning to come here, and I can't thank GPSstore.com and Garmin enough for coming on board to help us out. You know, we've got so many great supporters in ASI Limited and Spectrum and Axo Nobel. I mean, we've got so many people that want to see this deal happen and want us to run more. And right now it's a part-time deal, so but we keep doing this. Hopefully that'll change.
Congratulations. Great run to the Hollywood Truck Stop.
All right,
Chris.
Thanks to the Hollywood Hotel. All right, you got it, Dick. The second of 25 truck races this year, and Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, set the tone right away, leading the first 27 laps. It was really just the pit stop exchange that allowed him to miss that. Mike Skinner, the California native, as Brian Scott was moving up, bumps him here and creates a caution.
Yeah, right there. A little bit of give and take by the veteran right there would have made a whole lot of difference. Right, you see him turning Brian Scott in the 16 truck up into the outside safer barrier.
All right, 6 rookies in the race. Chase Austin here, the 19-year-old, and Taylor Mulson, who actually had a 10th place finish at Daytona the week before. He creates the pit road miscue, which is a problem. Also, Ohio's Terry Cook in the top 10. The caution comes out. He had some smoking, but he started his 274th consecutive truck race, but the story was the domination. Forget Camping World. It's Kyle Busch's world today. 95 laps led. That is a record for this race. in the 100-lap race. And as we look with Phil Parsons, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers here at the unofficial results, Kyle blowing them away. How about Max Pappas from Italy with a top 10 finish?
Great top 10 run for that road racer. But Chad McCumbie's team, their best ever finish, S&S Greenlight Racing, led by Bobby Dada with a top 3 finish.
Yeah, you back through the steer out there. Johnny Benson started on the front row. Not the day he was looking for. Mike Skinner, I think the new rules kind of got both these guys a little bit of trouble.
Dennis Setzer, 26th. So where Brian Scott wound up, 29th, threatening a little bit. Of course, we were down to pretty much 25 trucks racing once people got rolling here with Jeff and Phil. Well, we had, the most Toyotas, 16 starting in this race, 13 Chevys, and Toyota winning again the first 2 races of the year.
Well, we kind of knew that if he got out front, and I'm talking about Kyle Busch, we really felt like he was going to be the guy everybody was going to be chasing all day long. He was so impressive in qualifying. He was very good in practice, and I don't think we're one bit surprised about that. But the overall leaderboard and the way things kind of played out, guys like David Starr, and you talked about Chad McCumbie, there were a lot of surprises in this race, and especially right there whenever we saw Mike Skinner having to make an extra pit stop because of the tires being wore out and then basically running out of fuel, having to make that extra stop.
And we talked about the new rules and how important the new rules were going to be. Chad McCumbie's team worked them to perfection. They saved a set of tires and put them on when nobody else was able to, and they ended up with a top 3 finish. And as you mentioned, Jeff, Mike Skinner obviously needed tires and fuel at the same time, wasn't able to do it. It put him a lap down. He got the lap back, but still did not finish in the top 10.
I want to go ahead and say it right now. I kind of like, after seeing the rules play out today, I'm kind of concerned that maybe this is not the right thing for the series. I mean, I can understand during a caution situation, but in green flag scenarios where you're running out of fuel and you're running out of tires, I just feel like you need to be able to do all the above.
It's that sealed engine that got me, because, it's like the envelope for the Oscars. They kept somewhere sealed and you don't get to use it. TJ Bell in a Toyota, I'll explain it to you, don't worry. 5th place finish, and Chris is standing by with TJ. Kristen.
Thanks, Chris. TJ Bell is a Nevada native, so he loves being on West Coast time, especially when he spends his time with a top 5 finish. How was your day?
It started out, at the back of the pack, so we went from the back all the way to the front with our Red Horse Racing Toyota Tundra. It was unbelievable. I can't thank Toyota, homefortheholidays.org, and our new sponsor, VegasWatersports.com. It's a great website. Go check it out. Wakeboarding, Mastercraft boats. They've been helping me out a lot, and I love doing it, so it's a great thing to support.
From a wakeboarding truck driver to our Dick Berggren.
Well, David Starr matched his best ever finish here in California with a 4th, a good run, solid run by the pit crew. What was it like out there today?
It was awesome. Our Zachary Toyota Tundra was pretty awesome. Jason Miller, Matt Falkel, Danny Rollins, everybody on this HT Motorsports did a great job. Can't say enough about Zachary, all the 20,000 employees of Zachary for sponsoring our HT Motorsports Toyota Tundra. But man, our Tundra was awesome. Our truck wasn't very good at the start of the race, but Jason Miller made some great adjustments on our Tundra, and man, it came alive right there about halfway through the race.
Congratulations. Nice job. Chris?
All right, thanks, Dick. And we'll check the point standings. And again, Kyle Busch, who was frustrated with that 2nd place run at Daytona, gets some revenge here and is your points leader.
Well, as you see right there, Kyle's not going to be running a full circuit as far as the Truck Series is concerned. So early on, you got to believe that Todd Bodine is, once again, he's on pace to try to repeat as a champion. But Matt Crafton has already said, it's going to be my year, Phil. So, I think we're already starting to see a little bit of that kind of come into play.
He had a great season last year, finishing in the top 5 in points, but from 3rd on back, it's a real dogfight. Todd has a little bit of a gap right now, but hey, we go to Atlanta in a couple weeks, anything can happen there as well.
The veterans Johnny Benson, Rick Crawford struggling, hope to turn things around. Kyle Busch, you heard Krista ask him in Victory Lane. It was nice that he thanked the fans. I didn't hear any boos. Nobody was throwing anything at him, so maybe this is the new and improved Kyle Busch. But does he have a chance? Is the Nationwide? He's excused from the drivers' meeting for that. He has a cup practice, but tomorrow in the Auto Club 500, don't forget to join us for the pre-race show at 2 o'clock local time, 5 o'clock Eastern. Darrell Waltrip will talk with Dale Earnhardt Jr. We'll chat live with the Daytona 500 winner Matt Kenseth as well. Of course, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, who have each won the race 3 times, will be with us as well, and we'll get you ready on Oscar night here in Southern California. Tonight on Fox, this reminder before we check out, as the audio provided by those fine folks. Cops, look for some of Jeff's relatives on there, too. And then America's Most Wanted, some of my relatives.
Some of your relatives.
Real quick, Kyle Busch, the chance of, I don't know about a sweep, but he's the guy you have to look for on Sunday.
Oh, you do? Whenever they drop the green flag and he's in behind the wheel, you've got to consider him a favorite.
And he's already won here in all 3 divisions, even prior to today. He won 21 of these races last year between the 3 series. He had to get started sometime.
And Brian Vickers, who actually was going to be on the pole with an engine change for Sunday's race, has to move to back of the pack, so that benefits some of the other drivers up front. For Phil Parsons, Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers. For Mike, Larry, and Daryl, Chris Devoda, and also Dick Bergman, and all the people who worked on the production crew, Kyle Busch, your winner here at the Auto Club Speedway, and these promotional considerations provided by these fine people. So Kyle Busch wins it, leading 95 laps, only 3 leaders, 4 lead changes, average speed just under 146 miles per hour. The trucks are off next weekend and then on to Atlanta for stop 3. We hope you join us 2 o'clock Eastern, 5 Eastern, I should say, 2 Pacific, NASCAR on Fox, and from the Auto Club Speedway here in Southern California. Thanks for being a part of the Truck Series on Fox.